Hello and welcome everybody to the Inside Our Galaxy podcast. I am your host, Eric Hernandez. As always, we got to talk about our Leagues Cup run that happened this week as we faced Club Leon and the Vancouver Whitecaps. Both resulted in losses. Leon was a 1-0 loss, and then the Vancouver game was a 2-1 loss where we ultimately, they scored in the last minute in stoppage time. So, yeah, Galaxy have a poor showing in the Leagues Cup. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our opinions, our thoughts about everything. Of course, we got some rumors going on. We got transfer stuff going on, injury news, and yeah, that's basically it. We don't play till August 20th, so we won't really do a preview here for this episode. But we still got some things to talk about, a lot of things to talk about, and hopefully this should be a good conversation. We're glad you're all here, and let's get right into it. And with me, as always, is my co-host, LA Galaxy Central. How you doing, man? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's my response. That's how I'm doing. I'm speechless right now. I'm seriously speechless. Like, dude.
Okay. First of all, first of all, I'm keeping that in the episode. I was genuinely curious if something happened, but I don't blame you for just staying quiet. Like, yeah, we're speechless, to be honest.
Seriously, yeah. But I'm doing all right. Like, trying to move on now. But yeah, obviously, I'm very disappointed about what happened.
Yeah, no, honestly, I really thought like something happened with it. I was like, damn it, the software issues again. But no, that was actually pretty funny. You got me there. But no, man, it's good to have you here. But yeah, I don't blame you. I feel speechless. I feel disappointed. And honestly, what else can you really say? Like, there's not much you can say like about the whole Leagues Cup run. But let's dive right into it, man. Let's talk about the Leon game first, because of course we didn't talk about that one or did an episode right after that one. So yeah, like I said, we ended up going up against Leon last Wednesday, because it was supposed to be on Tuesday, got postponed a day after. But yeah, we faced Leon last Wednesday and we ended up losing 1-0. And yeah, all I could say about that to start off with that game was very sloppy, in my opinion. That's the way I would want to say it. Like, I don't think the Galaxy played bad. It was just very, I don't know. It's just like they couldn't get things going. They couldn't get really anything going in that game. And surprisingly enough, Leon only scored one goal on us, which is, the way we played, I felt like they could have easily beaten us like by a higher margin. But yeah, it was a Wednesday night game. It was a game that got pushed back. Maybe, it kind of threw off the Galaxy a little bit, having to get one day pushed back because of their logistical issues with Leon and getting them to LA. But but still though, it was very sloppy. They just didn't look like they were all there for that game to start off with. But those were just sort of my initial thoughts about the game. But how'd you feel about that Leon game, what you saw on the field?
We mentioned last week on the episode, you said that Leon fans are probably going to have a presence at our stadium. Like, you wouldn't say they would necessarily take over it, but they could have a presence. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, as someone who was at the game, they absolutely took it over, no doubt about it. And it was just very tough to see. It was probably one of my least favorite Galaxy games ever, not because of the result or really the performance, even just because, like, it felt awkward supporting the Galaxy at their own home venue, really. I was surrounded by Leon fans everywhere, and it was not good at all, man. There was really no Galaxy fans there. It was not fun, and to see us play like that was not great. It was not a very inspiring performance either, and it just wasn't a fun and enjoyable night overall.
Yeah, there was still some Galaxy atmosphere, of course. You had the supporter groups going all crazy with the smoke and the fireworks and all that stuff, which was cool to see that presence. But from what I heard, it was a takeover. There wasn't that many people in the stadium, but it was still more Leon fans than Galaxy fans from what I heard. But it didn't feel like a home game for the Galaxy. And then, like, on top of the whole performance that you had with, like I said, like within the field, very sloppy, didn't look like they were all in there. And, you also had a couple injury, or actually really one injury in there with Gaston Brugman going down at one point, which, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, he ends up going down in that game. And then, that kind of shifts a little bit for the Galaxy. The midfield isn't that strong. You don't have Mark Delgado in there to start off with. And of course, Brugman goes down. All you have is Riqui in there. And, definitely for sure, like, I think Uri Rosell went in there. He didn't look bad, but obviously you can tell he wasn't Gaston Brugman. Let's be honest. But, still, though, once that kind of happened, the I mean, I guess not really momentum shifted, but it kind of just got a little worse for the Galaxy. Again, they couldn't get things going. Offense was very much lacking. Defense was okay, but again, at the end of the day, Leon just got that one goal and that one. I mean, it wasn't really a mistake. It was a pretty good goal, but like Leon got that opportunity and they just took it over. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just kind of stale and really wasn't that much big of a performance for the Galaxy.
Yeah, so back to the atmosphere, like the Galaxy supporters groups, the Riot Squad and the Angel City Brigade, they actually did a really good job showing up. There was a lot of numbers there, especially for a midweek game, but the rest of the stadium, like in the neutral sections, it was all Leon. Like when Leon scored that goal, everybody stood up and I couldn't even see the goal celebration. That's how many Leon fans were around me, and it was just really bad overall.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I was watching on TV. I heard the Leon chants more than the Galaxy chants at some point of the game, but. I mean, yeah, I mean, it is LA. There's a lot of, Liga MX fans here. So it's like, and Leon is one of those teams that have a lot of fans in LA. So I did expect a lot of, again, a lot of Leon fans in that game. I just, I don't know. I kind of didn't expect the takeover, but I guess it happened regardless. So, that is kind of interesting. But I guess we can talk a little bit about the players, unless you have any other points going in for the game to talk about.
Yeah, not really. Like you said before, I think Leon could have scored more goals than us. They are kind of a team that I've watched a lot where it's like they're a really good team, but in the final third, they do kind of lack. Like, for example, in the CCL final when they played LAFC and Leon, like, Leon should have beaten LAFC that game by like 4 or 5-0. Instead, they only went 2-1. Or, for example, I watched them in Vancouver too. In the first half, they dominated Vancouver. They only go into the half 1-0 up and then end up tying 2-2. Like, Leon seems like a type of team that, like, they play really well, but the scoreline doesn't always reflect that. And this was kind of a game like that too where, I mean, yeah, the scoreline only said 1-0, but if Leon's just more clinical with those opportunities, they should be up by a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for sure, especially in that game because we really weren't producing anything. Like I said, offense was very much lacking out of the game. We couldn't get anything going, at least for that part. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about position wise. So let's start off with the defense. There were a couple changes in them. Of course, we can goalkeeper. You have Mikovic who started for his first Galaxy game, or at least for the first team. So you had that going in there. Of course, Mavinga was out as well. I forgot he had like some stuff going on too. So you had Tony Alfaro starting, of course. So yeah, there was a few changes in the defense. So but anyways, I'll go start off with you. How did you feel about the defense? What were your thoughts about that one?
Yeah, so how do you pronounce his name? Mitrovic? I don't know how to pronounce his name.
It's Mitrovic.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember, but it's along those lines.
Yeah, he's been a good surprise. I think he was really solid in goal both of the games, and especially that one. He came up with some good saves. He looked confident. I mean, for Raheem Edwards, like, I know, man, Messi is in the league now, but, like, Raheem Edwards is not Messi. He's trying to dribble too many players, take on too many guys, and he gave up the ball away that led to Leon's first goal, and it was just a really bad performance from Raheem, in my opinion. He was taking on, like I said before, too many players. He kept losing the ball, and I don't know, like, he doesn't have good decision making, which is why I think Aude started yesterday, and I think that was a good decision too.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I think Raheem, that game did not look as great, especially since he's been playing good, but he's slowly kind of regressing again. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, you're kind of in the decision making of whether you start Raheem or Aude, and maybe now starting Aude, which happened in the Vancouver game. So it's like, yeah, I guess now that you're kind of have to deciding on that. One guy in the defense I will give sort of a like maybe a little bit of a shout out is Tony Alfaro. I mean, I guess, he hasn't, I don't want to say he's been great or fantastic, but he's definitely, he's there. He's doing the work. He's a veteran. That's why we signed him. He's a guy who's been in the league for a while now. And just him being in there, knowing what to do and just having that experience sort of helps the Galaxy. And he hasn't done that bad, especially paired up with a very young defense as well. So it's like, yeah, I think for him, I think he was sort of my like standout, like, of the defense, just considering the fact that, a lot of people didn't rate him highly in signing him, but now that we got him in here, he's just there to do what needs to be done, just to get the job done and try to do as best he can.
Yeah, I have one more point though. Like, isn't it kind of annoying with the left backs? We keep having to flip flop them all the time. Like, you start Aude, then he doesn't play well for some games. Then you start Raheem, he plays good for a few games. Then he doesn't play well. Then you have to take him out. You have to put Aude back in. Then Aude plays well off the bench. Okay, then you want to start him. It just feels like with our left backs, we keep having to go flip flop all the time. There's no real consistency between the two of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, there hasn't been consistency in there. And especially like when we got, of course, Raheem started off the season, he wasn't doing good. You sign Aude, Aude started playing good. We thought he was going to be the starter for basically the rest of the season. He regresses. Raheem has a resurgence now. He's regressing, and yeah, it really is. It really isn't consistent. Like that left side, like at least Caligari has been sort of once he's gotten here, like on the right side, he's kind of stayed there. Like at least for the left side or for our fullbacks, it's kind of been a very very I don't know, not stressful, but just very I don't know, like it just hasn't been there. Yeah, for sure. But anyways, yeah. I guess we can move into the midfield a little bit into that game. I get you had what Daniel Aguirre in there, you had Gaston Brugman starting, and then Riqui Puig in there. How'd you feel about the midfield against Leon?
The midfield was not very good again. I think they got out physicaled by Leon. I think Leon won the midfield battle, and they're known to do that. They have a really good midfield, so that doesn't really surprise me. But I mean, I guess the worst part of that midfield is picking up another major injury there. That's not what you want to see at all. And I mean, Aguirre wasn't great, or Yuri Rossell, like you said, he was okay, but like definitely not a good replacement to have. And yeah, I don't think the midfield is very good that game overall.
Yeah, definitely, and of course Riqui Puig just doing his thing, I guess. But yeah, I mean, once Gaston Brugman went down, yeah, the midfield battle was very much lost. It very much wasn't there, and yeah, like I said earlier, Uri Rossell did okay, but he's not Gaston Brugman. He's not going to be the guy who's just going to replace that. Gaston is like, number one in like passing rating or breaking the lines and stuff like that. So it's like, you have all that production not there anymore. And then that's sort of where the midfield just went stale as well. So
I honestly think Brugman would have made the All-Star team if our team wasn't so shit this year.
It's kind of an interesting thing though, because Brugman has been good. He's had the good stats, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know why they didn't pick him for the All-Star game. I guess it was sort of he's kind of a snub in a sense, but
well, it's because we suck. That's why.
Well, I know, yeah, but Riqui Puig went, and we still suck. So
yeah, but he was exceptional. Gaston Brugman was just good. Like, there's a different level.
I guess so. I guess you're right, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be. You can say he was sort of a snub, but I don't know. Gaston Brugman, losing him at the end of the day was pretty big too. Which again, we'll get into that and sort of our thoughts about that. But yeah, I mean, pretty big blow for the midfield, and like we said, once that went down, that's kind of when the midfield just shut down completely, and we lost the battle right there. Offense, let's go into that one. Basically nothing. I have nothing for the offense really for that game against Leon. Like there really wasn't much that we did, and yeah, like, I mean, nobody did anything. I can't even give you a name, like, to be honest. Like, I don't really remember, like, anybody doing something good for the offense. And I don't even remember who started. Did we start who did we start a striker? I think we started Judd or Dejan. I really don't remember.
It was Judd.
Okay, then. There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If anything, Judd just had a very terrible, like, first half. Like, that's the only thing I can really give you from the offense from that Leon game. Other than that, everybody else just really didn't do anything. But, I mean, I don't know. Do you have anything different for the offense? How'd you feel about that one?
Yeah, I have something different. You said just the Leon game. I can go through the whole season, actually. Like, dude, we're in August now. Our leading scorer on this team has 4 goals. That's Tyler Boyd. I mean, there's a real offensive lack of quality in this team, and it needs to get addressed.
It really does. It really does need to get addressed. And especially after that game, everybody was saying, we need a new number 9. We need a new striker. We need somebody who's going to clinically finish those opportunities. And even then, like, I wouldn't even say just clinically, at least in that game, like, we weren't really building up anything. It wasn't even just that we couldn't get, the opportunities. It was like we really weren't creating anything for that game against Leon. And, yeah, I mean, that was the stressful part about it. Like, we just weren't getting anything going.
The Jovic Judge striker battle has to be one of the worst I've ever seen in MLS for who gets the starting position, dude, seriously.
It's so It's like, it's really just pick your poison at this point. It's like
horseshit or dog shit.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's like who do you want to start? Like, you want to start a guy who hasn't had a good starting record, or you want to start a guy who's very young, very just hasn't really done anything in his career yet because he's just so new to this. So it's like it's really like it's hard to choose one, and it's very difficult. Like I really think that everybody wants to talk shit on Chicharito sometimes. People want to say, oh, like he didn't do anything or whatever. It's like, I guarantee you would rather have Chicharito because I think he would have at least done some production at this point. I wouldn't say he would have been like on fire, but he would at least had something going, at least in my opinion. But
I might even want him on the torn ACL at this point.
get him on the field. Hey, you know what? Phillip Rivers for like the Chargers like years ago played a conference championship game, with a torn ACL like in the NFL. So like, who knows? Maybe if Chicharito can do the same thing,
that'd be impressive for sure.
That would be impressive. But you're asking him to do it for a season, not one game. So I guess that's the difference. But no, I mean, shit, I'll give Chicharito my ACL if that's the way to go. But no, I mean, seriously though, like I really think that that striker issue does need to be addressed at some point. Not even at some point, like now. Like we need to address that now and as soon as possible. But no, yeah, I mean, we can't get anything going with either of those guys, and it's very stressful.
I mean, for the striker position, I'd probably address it like as a short-term contract. Like, you know how last season we brought Martin Cáceres and we gave him a deal to the end of the season, then we gave him an option? I'd probably try to do it with some free agent striker too. Like, I don't want to make like some long-term commitment because we do have DP spots open this offseason that we can get someone better. But someone does need to bring at least brought in for the short term.
You know what? I would hate to say it, and everybody's going to flip out if I say this. I'm just saying this because it's going to be... I feel like it's going to happen, and listen, I'm not happy about it if it happens, but I really would not be surprised if Vanny calls up Josie Altidore to say, hey, play for the rest of the season.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's a free agent, and... Toronto guy, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Oh my god, dude.
I mean, I don't want to manifest it, but I'm like, you would have to admit, like, okay, like that seems a possibility to happen, even though you don't want it. Like,
I think Javinko's also a free agent. Why not bring him in for the end of the season too? An Italian, I'd be happy about it. But.
Hey, maybe you never know. I didn't even know he's a free agent. I thought he was still playing somewhere else.
No, he is a free agent right now.
Interesting. So yeah, who knows? Maybe that happens. We never know. They got like a month to figure that out, or actually really less because the window ends in like about a week from now. I believe so.
The international window, but then you can still bring in free agents till like September.
Yeah, that's why. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like you're after that, like maybe the free agency market picks up a little bit for the Galaxy. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if for strikers, I wouldn't be surprised if that's an option for the Galaxy, even though I wouldn't really want it, but. I mean, for 6 months or for the rest of the season, maybe it's not too bad, but, we'll see.
I mean, it's better than what we have, I guess. It's because we're getting next to nothing.
Yeah, so, I mean, like we said, at least bring somebody in, And, that Josie Altidore, for example, is a guy who's had experience with Vanny's system, so maybe that's a possibility, but who knows. But anyways, yeah, I don't think I have any more points about the Leon game unless you had any more.
I mean, no, just the overall game sucked, and the environment around me was not very fun either. I told you about it. Like, there was a bunch of really loud, just weird people around me, so I was happy to get out of there when I did.
I will say the raza does get a little crazy sometimes, so I get what you mean. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that was a bad game. But, let's move on to the next game, which wasn't that great either against Vancouver. Like I said, we ended up losing 2-1. Riqui Puig gets a goal in that game, and we ended up losing on a last minute stoppage time goal, which again, I wouldn't say I was sad about it. I mean, realistically, I didn't really care about this tournament anyways, but still though, it was kind of disappointing to see that's how we lost. But anyway, but how'd you feel about that game? What were your thoughts about going up against Vancouver?
Yeah, so I'm surprised you're not sad because I'm super disappointed. I'm probably going to be disappointed for a little bit of time. Like, we just gagged that game, dude. I don't know how else to say it. We totally choked that. We deserve the slander that's going to come with this, and we have to take it to the chin. That's what it is. I mean, we choked it. We bottled it. I don't know how else to say it. It was a choke job. It was a failure. We had 2 games at home against Leon, against Vancouver, 2 teams from different countries. We didn't have to travel at all. We couldn't even get a point. Not a fucking point at home. It's unacceptable. I mean, I'm very mad about it. I don't know how you are, and maybe some people just don't care as much, but for me, this is a complete choke job. It shouldn't be thrown under the bus. It's embarrassing for sure.
No, I mean, I agree for sure. The way how it went out definitely was not good. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm sad about that part, the fact that we just absolutely blew it. But I'm just saying I'm not sad at the part that we're out of the Leagues Cup, because we said it. We weren't going to win this. We weren't really going to go far, but still though, you thought like, hey, we win against Vancouver, we go a little bit into Leagues Cup, maybe another game, another just another round, and then maybe that kind of boosts up a little bit. But still, though, yeah, I mean, it was an absolute choke job. You're right. Like, let's face it, that was pretty bad the way it ended, and yeah, we like I said, we got that goal, and we really couldn't do much after that. But yeah, I mean, at least the offense was clicking a little bit more in this game, but we just couldn't finish for shit. Like, I mean, and like we said, that goes to the whole striker thing. It's like we need somebody to be clinical in that area and just get the goals. Like, that's all we need, really.
I mean, look, you know why I'm disappointed? I'm not disappointed because the Leagues Cup game, with this game specifically, like, you said it yourself, like, the Leagues Cup is not the biggest deal in the world. It's not this huge thing we really had a chance of winning. I'm disappointed because, yet again, at home, the Galaxy have choked and fallen up short. Like, I said it on a post, like, in 2018 against Houston, we choked a 2-0 lead at our own home. In 2019, for a chance to clinch home field in the playoffs, we played Vancouver. We lost 4-3. We didn't get home field. In 2021, all we had to do was win a game to make the playoffs. We don't win that game. In 2022, we play a USL team in the Open Cup, coming off one of our best performances ever, actually, against LAFC in the Open Cup. How do we respond? We lose to a USL team. And this year, you play a team that has one road win on the year. All you have to do is win the game at home, or even get it to penalties. I mean, you're a few minutes away from possibly getting it to penalties, and who knows what happens there, and you completely choked it away. And it's just like, it's like the Galaxy are not a serious club anymore. It's like, the argument is undeniable. They're just pretty irrelevant at this point, and this yet again proves it on an international stage.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Like, I guess it's more embarrassing in that matter because of the fact that Leagues Cup, I guess, although some people don't consider it a big deal, it is a big deal because it's not even internationally televised, it's internationally televised. Like, anybody could watch these games, and the fact is that, fans from Mexico, fans from Canada, and fans from the USA watch this game, and we just, like you said, like it was a bad loss because we choked, and it just doesn't seem like the whole. You're right. It doesn't seem like a serious club in a sense, because it's just like, wow, like you expect the Galaxy to win these games, and they haven't because they've had a very poor season. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you're coming from the whole disappointment, which I would agree that, yeah, like just having that whole experience and just being and the way we lost was just disappointing, and you bringing up those other games and at home, and it's just like, yeah, like when you put it that way, it's like, yeah, it really has been an embarrassment for the Galaxy going playing home and then importing games. So it's like, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
You know, the most frustrating part about this team is they just never learn. Like, how many times have we said it, dude? Like, they shouldn't have even been in this position. Like, honestly, a good team, like I said in my post, like LAFC, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, do you know how much they win this game by at home? Probably 5 or 6-0. We didn't need to win 5 or 6-0. We needed to get that second goal. We had countless amount of opportunities, endless amount of opportunities to slam the door shut. We didn't do it. Endless amount of opportunities. I mean, we're a professional level team. We have to put these chances in the back of the net. And the fact that we didn't is just completely unacceptable. And you really have to question the players. I know a lot of people like to blame Vanny, but the reality is Vanny is not on the field scoring those goals. It's not his job to do that. He's just watching from the sideline. And eventually some of the blame needs to go to the players, which I don't think is coming right now, as it should.
Yeah, and you know what? Think about it this way as well. I mean, Cincinnati played Chivas, what was it, Thursday. Then they were beating them in like 10 minutes. They ended up like postponing the last 30 minutes of the game because of weather delay. And you know what happened the next day? They ended up winning 3-1. And and you're right. It's like, it doesn't matter where you're at. It's just like, you got to make sure you win these games. It's like, again, you had the opportunities, you had the chances to really put Vancouver, like, again, you needed, not only could they have gotten a second goal? They could have gotten more than that. Like, if I'm going to be honest, like, it really could have been maybe not a blowout, but it definitely could have been much more than a 1-0.
No, it could have been a blowout. It could have been a blowout if we were clinical. A good team, this is a blowout with the way we played. Yeah.
So it's like, it could have been maybe a 3-0, like, at least, So, I mean, I agree with you on that as well. Cause like, yeah, it's like you have the opportunities, you have the chances, and you're not doing it. And guess what? It cost you, because then Vancouver realized they had a chance and they beat you in the worst way possible. And, credit to Vancouver. I mean, really, they had those opportunities and they took them, and they did what we didn't. So you got to give credit to them too.
Yeah, but seriously, it's so frustrating though. Like, I'm probably missing some games too, but like the game versus Charlotte, we had endless amount of opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net. We dominated the game. We didn't put the ball in the back of the net. Then we concede one goal. We lose 1-0. Against Kansas City, we're up 2-1 going into stoppage time. Then we concede a cheap penalty kick. We blow that game. Then San Jose, we have a 2-1 lead 10 minutes into the game. We don't put them away. Then we tie 2-2. We just keep dropping points. And then yesterday again, 1-0 lead, final 10 minutes. We completely just throw away the game again. I mean, if this team could be clinical and hold on to leads and know how to manage a game, they'd be having a lot better of a season. I think they could be in a playoff spot. But time and time again, this is just not happening. And part of it does go on the coach, but I think a lot of it has to go on the players because they're not the ones putting these opportunities away.
Yeah, I mean, but it could go to a lot of things, right? You can also bring up the injuries and things like that as well, and the whole, I guess the way the season.
Don't give any ideas.
No,
please.
no. I'm not giving him any ideas. I'm just saying that. Yeah, because the whole excuses thing, I got it now. But no, I'm just saying, like, you can really put it to anything, but no, I mean, still though, like, I agree. It's like it's not just the coach. It's you got to put on the players as well. You got to put it on a lot of people really that need to take responsibility, and that's something that I think we've both have said. It's like nobody has really taken responsibility. Nobody has really stepped up and said, "Hey, listen, like we're not playing good. We're not doing what we need to be doing, and we got to find a way to do what we need to do." And like, I don't think that really anybody has even said remotely anything like that, if I'm going to be quite honest. So yeah, I think it's the point. At the point is, it's like this team needs to take accountability. I get it. Like, it's a bad season, and realistically, where we're at right now, it's it's not looking good. So but at the end of the day, you got to take responsibility and own up to your mistakes, right?
Yeah, so I have two things to say. So one about the injuries, like nobody wants to hear the injury excuse. We had our full team earlier in the year for a long period of time. We were not good, dude. I'm sorry, we were not playing good. Nope. Sure, you can use the injury excuse as an excuse to say like, oh, now we can't go on a run. But as for the injuries, like, we were bad before. Like, this team was poorly constructed all along, and they did not make the right moves. They got transfer banned in the summertime, and this is the result of it.
Yeah, I mean, still though, I mean, like I said, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying you can put the excuse, because realistically, the injury excuse, you can say it like right now, because earlier in the year you didn't have any injuries. Now you got 3 players who have been injured and realistically aren't going to play for the rest of the season.
Even when they were healthy, though, we were bad, though.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, still though, it's like, I'm just saying you could say that, but realistically, it's not the best excuse you can put out there. It's like, it's like we've just been poor this whole season, and realistically, I think the Leagues Cup really just showed even more how poor we've been, to be honest.
And seriously though, where's the leadership on this team? That was my other point. Like, after Vancouver got that equalizer that they absolutely did not deserve, I mean, who was there? I was looking at the Galaxy players, they all just standing there with their heads down. I mean, they just didn't look up for a fight. They looked like they kind of just got demoralized after that, and Vancouver smelt blood in the water and took advantage of it. But who's the leader on this team? Who is that guy after Vancouver scored that's going to clap their hands, get everybody together, say, hey, there's still 10 minutes to possibly find a goal. If not, we'll get to penalties. We'll see what we can do there. Like, who's the guy on that team that really gets the players motivated and gets people together? Because it's not Vanny. Chicharito, I think it was Chicharito, but he's not with the team anymore. I don't think it was Brugman, to be honest. I think he was more just like a good guy to talk to, but yeah, I really think there's no leader on this team, and it's going to be an issue the rest of the year, and it's going to be an issue going forward if we don't find that sort of replacement.
And I think that's just been an issue in general this season. Even when we were healthy, I don't really think there was much of a leadership regardless. I think I've said that before. Like, you need that leader. You need a guy, like, even if it was like a Sasha Kljestan, like I've mentioned multiple times, even if he doesn't play a lot, but gets the guys going, that's a good leader. You needed some guy like that. You need some people who are going to take responsibility, take accountability, and ultimately, again, find a way to get results and find a way to get back into these games. So, and yeah, you're right. Like, after that goal, it was just demoralizing. And like I said, Vancouver saw the opportunity. They found it. And yeah, they ended up winning that game, and you got to give them credit for that. But yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, you got to get somebody who's going to keep pushing this team forward no matter what.
So you don't think Chicharito was a leader?
I wouldn't say that. I will say that he has had more of a leadership role ever since joining the Galaxy. I've always said that he's never really been a leader in his career until now, and I think he's done some good. He's had a good job. He's done a good job at some points, but I don't even think in the beginning it was that great. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you need another leader to be there to really get the guys going, and maybe it could be some of these, who we get from the transfer window or whatever, or it could be somebody
problem, though.
yeah, or maybe just somebody who we don't expect. So I don't know. It's just at some point somebody's got to step up.
Yeah, but let's say we sign a new player. Do you really want a new player who's been like somewhere else their whole career to come in and be the leader of a club they're not even familiar with? Like that just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I mean, I'm just saying though, like it has to be somebody, like whether it's somebody on the team or maybe some guy who comes in out of nowhere and says, you know what, I might be the guy to fix this. Which realistically, who can fix this? But still, though, like somebody's got to step up is what it was the ultimate thing that I'm trying to say.
I don't think Brugman was much of a captain either. Really, he doesn't really seem like that type of guy to get everybody together and motivate everyone. But I think he was a player that was very well respected on the team and someone that people would listen to.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what I would get out of it too. Like I don't think it's really much to it. But anyways, I think we I don't know if you still want to talk about the players about this game, but if you want to dive down deep into the players, we can.
I mean, yeah, we can.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's talk about defense for this Vancouver game. How'd you feel about it? Who were your guys in that game?
I mean, solid for the most part. The defense is probably the best part of our team, but I mean, overall, there's still some flaws to it. Like, Auda and Caligari are both very talented players, but I think they both have massive flaws that hurt for this team, and I'll go for both of them. Like, Caligari, like, it's frustrating to watch because I've addressed this issue before. He never gets forward, which is very annoying. He always stays back. He always hides back there, and it's very frustrating to see because he is a very good crosser of the ball. He is a very skilled player. We even saw him get the assist to Riqui for the first goal, and then later when he got up the field, put a great ball into Boyd, and Boyd should have scored that for the second goal, but yeah, the problem is he only does it like 2 or 3 times a game. Caligari needs to get up the field more. And as for Auda, I think he played really well too, but like every time he crosses the ball, it either goes out for a goal kick, hits the corner kick flag, or goes to the Galaxy bench. Like, we need Auda to learn how to cross the ball. Like, it's really that simple. I've never seen someone cross the ball so bad. And if he can get good at that, he'll be a really good player. But I mean, his crossing has definitely been really rough and something we need him to get better at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I agree on both points. I definitely think for Caligari, this wasn't his best game. And, you know, we said that he's been playing better. And I think, yeah, it's the matter of him getting more offensive on the ball and trying to get, because you're right, you know, he's had those 1 or 2, 3 moments, but realistically, we're asking you to do it for more than just 1 or 2, 3 times. You got to do it like, you know, 5 or 6 at this point, you know, like, or even more, depending how good the offense is clicking. But like,
he might have to play striker now too.
Yeah, maybe, who knows? But still, though, like you gotta. That's the one thing about Caligari is that you gotta get him more. He needs to get more involved into the offense because I think people, like at least Vanny, I think he wants him to be more in the offense, but it's just a matter of him getting into the offense, if you get what I mean. But yeah, definitely for sure. And we've talked about how that a little bit inconsistent, but still played a good game, I think, against Vancouver. And yeah, the crossing needs fixing, definitely for sure. But you know, that's why we signed him for 5 years or however long his contract was. Is I think it's just more of him developing him.
We practiced crossing for the whole 5 years.
Maybe not that, but definitely that's something that you got. If that's an issue, you got to fix it at some point. So definitely. Who knows? But yeah, definitely for sure. I would also say about those two on the defense, and then you also had, of course, Mikovic again, solid at goal despite the 2 goals, and then I think you had Tony Alfaro again starting, and again, you know, getting a body in there, and he's, you know, the experience. I think he did okay as well. So yeah.
Well, I will say this. I think Jalen Neal had a very poor Leagues Cup, to be honest. And yeah, it was not good for him for both games. I think he got physically exposed versus Leon and versus Vancouver. They completely caught him out of position, especially for the second goal. Like, I think Galaxy fans are a little bit too high on him this season.
Surprisingly, I've seen one guy saying Neal out. I don't know if that's the case to take Neal out completely.
Okay, that's a little too much.
Yeah, that's a little too much, but I don't know, maybe because of the fact that he did come back injured, and then maybe wasn't that big of. I know it wasn't that big of an injury, but like he did come back injured, kind of going back in because of Gold Cup and stuff like that. So maybe it's just got a slow build up coming back into it. But I don't know, like yeah, but I would agree that Neal hasn't been great, but you know, I don't know, maybe there's some reasons to it. Let's go into the midfield. Of course, no Gaston Brugman. We've talked about that already. So you had Riqui Puig, Daniel Aguirre, and Uri Rossell starting. Again, not much in the midfield, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, like it was basically the Riqui Puig show. If I'm going to be, if it was like, I mean, the dude was carrying. Yeah, I mean, it's always the Riqui Puig show, but I mean, he was basically carrying the entirety of that team. Like, there's just the guy was putting in all the work for that game, and you know. That's really much it for the midfield. It was just Riqui the entire game.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Uri Rosell was okay. Like, he's doing what he can. He's doing a decent job. Daniel Geary was terrible that game. He did not play good at all. I would have rather seen Memo Rodriguez actually start at the 8 spot because that's more of his natural position, not at the wing, which I don't know why Vanny still plays him at the wing. That's so stupid, but I guess that's his decision. And yeah, Riqui Puig, like always, just carrying this garbage team to wherever they can go. And unfortunately, his efforts are not resulting in anything. And I feel so bad for him because he's such a good player. He does all the right things, makes all the right passes, takes on players, always beats players too. Is just such a good player, an MVP level player, but plays with this complete dog shit team that just doesn't help him time and time again. And we heard reports of him maybe possibly leaving. And if he's getting that frustrated and the Galaxy can't guarantee him a much better team next season, I wouldn't blame him for leaving at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it really was. It was disappointing for. Yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating, yeah, because you see Riqui Puig doing his thing, but at the end of the day, nobody else is really doing much. So it's like, yeah, I mean, but that's kind of been the story of the season, anyways. It's just Riqui Puig doing his thing and nobody else supporting him. His supporting cast has been poor. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
That's why our leading scorer has 4 goals this year in August.
Yeah, basically, right? So, I don't know. But speaking of offense, let's talk about it. Again, you had Tyler Boyd, you had Douglas Costa, and then you had Dejan Joveljic starting for this one. Again, offense was clicking a little bit more, but again, it was just the finishing that just needed to be there, and it wasn't. So, yeah, I mean, how'd you feel about the offense on that one?
I wasn't really feeling it, to be honest. I mean, you saw Joveljic start again. I mean, what more could I say? I've already said so much about this guy on social media, on this podcast. There's nothing more to say. He's not good with this team. I think he needs to move on at this point, and we have 3 weeks. We can possibly trade him to another MLS team. It's something you should strongly consider right now because I don't think this fit is working. I think it's time for a change of scenery for the player and the club itself. Maybe get a new U22 DP next season, but yeah, it's just not working right now with the Joveljic. And yeah, as for Tyler Boyd, he's a talented player, but he just has really bad decision making. Sometimes he was not making the best decisions. He didn't really have that good of a game. And the fact that Tyler Boyd is our leading scorer this season is very, very concerning. And Douglas Costa, he tried. He's on the field now, which is good in itself. But he played all right, Costa. But I do think he needs to shoot the ball more and be a lot more selfish, considering that nobody else is going to score. But yeah, Joveljic is probably the worst player, like he unfortunately always is, and the other 2 guys weren't anything special either.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And, the Dejan conversation keeps getting louder as well, too, because it's like, yeah, it's like, I think that's something you kind of have to consider. It's like, what do you do with Dejan? And, you can say, well, what's the plan with him after this? Because let's face it, I don't think Cheito's coming back unless he comes back on a very cheap contract, but he's not. Like, let's face it. And, but still though, it's like, what is your plan with Dejan? Do you count this season as just, maybe it wasn't a good season for him? Or do you just say maybe this isn't the right guy? And that's just really depending on Vanny and the front office or whoever it may be. It's like, but it's something you got to consider. It's like, what is going to be the decision? Because I think still, if you want to trade Dejan, I think you can get good trade value out of him. I think he's still a player that teams would need. But just maybe isn't a fit for the Galaxy. Who knows? But I mean, I don't know. It really just comes down to just thinking about it and seeing what you can do. But I think that, I think for the fans, I don't know. I think it'd be torn because some people would be like, yeah, I agree with that. Maybe we should get rid of him. But there's a lot of fans that are going to be like, no, like this is Dejan Joveljic. We've grown accustomed to him. We've seen what he can do, and we will trust him at some point. But I don't know. It just comes down to what you want to do with him.
Yeah, the problem with it's just a bad season argument is he has a history of doing this, especially in the starting lineup. Like, he has a history of ghosting in the starting lineup. Like, we saw Alex Ruiz put out a tweet like a while ago back in May or April or something like that Dejan Joveljic has a 16% win percentage in the starting lineup. 16%, which is just, it's honestly unbelievable how bad that is. And the sad part is it's only gotten worse from here since that tweet. It's like, there's a history between seasons. It's not just this season where he's been not producing as a starter. It's a season where he's not been producing off the bench, which really sucks to see. But as a starter, he's just not the guy for our system at this point. I think we have to recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be an interesting decision to see what the front office does or Vanny does or whoever makes that decision. It'd be interesting to see what they do because, again, I think it's something you got to consider. I think it's something that isn't an over exaggeration or anything like that. I genuinely think it's something you should consider. Whether it happens or not, that's just to be determined.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
but yeah, so yeah, that's basically it for when it comes to players, and really much the game. I don't know if you had any other points about it.
Well, the subs sucked for both games, to be fair. Like, they were not good subs at all.
Yeah, I would agree with
To be
that.
fair, our depth is so weak, though, it's like it doesn't even matter.
I mean, to be fair, some of our depth is actually starting to, so it's like I don't know.
It
like,
is.
So we're really getting down the barrel of our depth, and yeah, it's not that good right now.
Eventually, we might have to play if our depth gets that low.
Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
I'll suit up. Let's go. But
You're 90 minutes fit right now, or
I don't think I'm even 10 minutes fit if I'm gonna be completely honest. So
could you give us a 6-minute sub, or?
yeah, put me in like in the 97th or 87th minute, and maybe I'll do something for you. But
Maybe.
nah, I don't think I would love to get fit enough to play a full 11v11, but that ain't gonna happen. But anyways, yeah, I mean I guess that's it for our points for the games.
Well, I have
like
one
I
more
said,
point too. Well, kind of more about the signings, not really a point. So I feel like with our depth, and I mentioned this on my story too. I feel like Vanny just kind of treats the depth as like, oh, whatever type of signings. We'll sign whatever, like. You know, guys from our academy, like Daniel Geary from our academy in the USL, yeah, come to our bench. Gino Vivi just got drafted in the Super Draft, yeah, come to our bench. Zavaleta, my nephew, you were terrible on Toronto, come to our bench. Like, Mavinga, he was like terrible. He was not terrible on Toronto. He was good for many years, but towards the end, it was very rough for him. He was in very rough form. Yeah, come to our bench. And like, you saw like Gasper before too, you ended up waving him, like, come to our bench and stuff like that. And Uri Rosell, he got bought out from SKC. He was terrible for SKC in his second stint with them. Like, yeah, come to our bench. It's like Vanny's taking these bench signings very unseriously, just not really putting much thought into them, not much effort into them. And now when injuries start to pile up, international dues start to pile up, these like, oh, whatever type of guys, like, we don't really care about our bench. Well, these are starters for you now, and for the next 12, 13 games, whatever's left, like, a lot of these guys that you initially didn't really care about signing, or a lot of the families didn't care about signing, are going to have to be on the field to try to win games, which is going to be very difficult to see.
we kind of explained this, I think, before we started recording, but the way that Vanny looks at it, I feel like it's just to get a body in. Like that's literally how like I take it. It's like,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
like just get somebody in there in that position. It's not really like I wouldn't say he wouldn't say like he doesn't take focus or like any time to make these signings, I guess, or just like think like they wouldn't be of good use, or like I don't think he's just like, all right, we'll just get whoever. But like I definitely do think it's like, you know, like, okay, like this guy used to play for me, yeah, we'll just put him in there or whatever. So it's like, I don't know, but definitely I definitely think it's just more of the mentality of like, hey, let's just get a body in there, and it's kind of worked in some positions, but there's a lot of positions where it doesn't work. So
I don't think it's worked overall very well. Like, Vanny takes his starting lineup very seriously because obviously on his best 11 he wants guys that he knows are going to be productive, but unfortunately a lot of our best 11 is injured, and we obviously have the transfer ban too, so we couldn't bring in more players, which we probably planned on doing in the offseason. So it's like, but for the depth department we really do have to take it more seriously, especially if we want to be a serious club again and compete in many different competitions.
yeah, I mean, definitely for sure. Yeah, I mean, but you know, they're still a little bit into the transfer window, and then of course free agents, which I guess we can transition into some of the stuff that had happened. We do actually have a free agent signing that's going to happen. You had Yoshida from who was a player for the Japanese national team. Yeah, he was a free agent. We reported that we were interested in him, and that ultimately, yeah, he will sign with the Galaxy. 35-year-old, has had experience in parts of Europe, of course, you know, with the Japanese national team. So, yeah, I mean, 35-year-old, you need a center back, because that is one of the positions you can definitely improve on, at least for the rest of the season. But yeah, I mean, how'd you feel about that signing going in?
I actually really like the signing a lot. Like, I've seen him play before in Serie A because obviously my team is Napoli, and I've seen him play against my team before. He's pretty good, and he's still pretty good right now. Obviously, he just played in a World Cup for Japan. He brings experience. He was in the Bundesliga. He's very available. He's very consistent. He's always, like I said, available. He doesn't miss games, and overall, I like the signing a lot. Cáceres is on season-ending injury, so you basically get that spot open for free. You can bring him in. Cáceres is out of contract this offseason, so he's going to be gone. So I guess this is kind of just that new center-back replacement, sort of just this kind of older veteran center back from Europe, and I like it. I think he's going to do well. I don't think he's a guy that like maybe next season should start games for us, but I do think he's a guy that's very professional, very well respected, and is going to be a good addition to our team that definitely needs some professionalism in it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And, you know, we just mentioned right now, like Vanny signings look like is just to get a body in. I don't think this one really is much of that. Like you could make the argument, but not really. It's like, yeah, like he's had his experience. He's had good qualities in his career, and yeah, I mean, I like the signing. It's definitely something that we need. It's addressing a position that we need, and yeah, who knows? Like if all goes well the rest of the season, you maybe sign him for another year, and we'll move on from there. But yeah, I definitely think this was a good signing and a signing that we need for sure.
He's known to be one of the most well-respected players around Europe too. Like he had a very good reputation of always showing up to work, always putting in his best efforts. So like hopefully that translates over here.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully so. I mean, if that's sort of his recognition, that I'm pretty sure it would, hopefully it would be the same over here in the Galaxy.
Always available too, even at an old age. He was always making so many appearances and start for these European clubs and top 5 leagues. Like I think it's an overall just very good addition.
Hey, you know what they say? The best ability is availability. So yeah, and clearly we haven't had availability this season.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good thing. So yeah, definitely for sure. What else into the Galaxy news? Of course, we mentioned Brugman being out for the season. Or not out for the season, but it's most likely that he will be out for the season.
No, it is out for the season. It's 3 to 6 months, so it is out for the season.
Okay, then there you go. So he's out for the season. So yeah, a big blow for the Galaxy. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I was a couple days away from Signal and Civilization, so I might not be on top of my Galaxy news right now. But yeah, Brugman ended up getting a season-ending injury. So yeah, that's a big blow. For sure, and we've kind of discussed about it already that whoever is put in this position is just not going to be the same. So, yeah, it sucks for sure. Anyways, any other Galaxy news? Of course, you had rumors of Riqui Puig potentially deciding his future after this season, which was interesting and kind of came out of nowhere, if I'm going to be honest. And yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody reacted to that whole Riqui Puig thing, and supposedly he liked the tweet saying about that he's going to decide his future. So I don't know. I mean, that is interesting. How do you feel about that? Do you think Riqui could possibly leave after the season?
Yes, but I still think he should stay next year because next year we have a lot of cap space. We might have we will have 2 DP spots open. We'll have a lot of TAM spots open. As of right now, we'll have the summer window open, and we'll have probably even more spots opening up if some players move like Alvarez or Jovic or something like that. So we can bring in so many pieces on the attack, hopefully, to help improve the team. And if the front office can tell them hey, this year's a wash. It is what it is. It's been a rough year, but this offseason we know who you are. We know you're this high caliber player. We respect what you do, and we want to put the best possible team around you. I think you can convince him to stay for one more year, but if the Galaxy front office just kind of half-asses it and says oh, we don't really care that much, we're going to bring in another old guy or another older DP, and it's we're just kind of just throw money at whoever and not really take this team that seriously, then Riqui Puig can be well, I'm out of here. I'm not going to waste my time playing with you guys anymore if you're just not going to build the team in a seriously competitive manner. And I wouldn't blame him at all for wanting to leave. He's been really good this year. He's been fantastic this year, and all these players around him have just completely held him back from being one of the best players in the league. So I would like him to stay, but it's going to take a lot of work for the Galaxy to build a better team around him.
Here's the thing. I really don't I think Ricky's good enough to go back to Europe, right? I think he's made enough of his mark in MLS where he can say hey, I could probably go back to Europe. In fact, before making the move, he could have stayed in Europe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's be honest. He really could have just stayed in Europe, but he decided to make the move here. But the thing is, I want to say that I don't think it would happen just because I think Riqui likes being here. I don't think he's had much of an issue being here despite the bad season right now. It's I don't think he's enjoyed himself here. He likes the people around him. And again, if he's smart enough, or maybe not smart enough, but I think he realizes that, yeah, next season, that could be a totally different thing. You're going to have more money. You're going to have contracts that are up, and you're going to build a better team. It's that's the thing. So it's I think you can convince him to stay one more year if he is thinking about it. But I mean, I don't know. I really don't think he would, just because I think he enjoys it here. But I think he also does realize that, yeah, I could go back to Europe. I can go play for, maybe just somewhere in Europe, maybe a mid-table team somewhere in one of these top 5 leagues. But still, though, I think he can go back. But I think he could also realize that, you know what, I can stay for one more season. I know this was a bad season for the organization as a whole, but if we do the right things, we can be good, and I agree with that.
I think he does enjoy it here, but behind the scenes, there's no way he's not frustrated right now, especially at the Galaxy front office. Like, hello, like I'm doing all these things, and like you got a bunch of these just tree trunks just standing here, not really helping me at all. It's like come on, guys, I need some better pieces right now. Like, especially the next season. Like, sure, maybe I'll do this for 1 year, but I'm not doing this again. So get it together.
Right, exactly. I mean, again, you can convince him to stay one more year, but it's now the matter of building around him because let's face it, next year, I mean, he's already the face of the Galaxy, let's be honest, but
he would be the face of the league if our players didn't suck.
Yeah, like he would. Like if he honestly would, but he is the face of the team. He is the guy. So if you want to keep him for one more year or maybe even a little bit longer, maybe, but you got to build around him. Like you really need to build around this man. And, of course, the midfield having, when healthy, Brugman and Delgado was a start. Now you got to build everything else around him.
Attack especially. We need to spend a lot of money on the attack.
Yeah, I mean, because he's good at passing forward, and if the guys who are up forward receiving the ball isn't doing anything, then yeah, that's frustrating too. So, yeah, I mean, I think Riqui realizes that I could stay here as long as we get the good pieces. But I don't know. I really don't think it will happen, at least in my opinion. But you never know. I mean, things could change in the next few months. So.
I mean, that would be crazy, though. Just think about it. Like, we have 3 open DP spots. We have all those max TAM spots opening up, too. And then MLS, there's rumors that they might extend the salary cap. So, like, how many spots could we have open at that point?
Yeah, and especially with, as much as people don't like, I guess, some of the AEG signings and stuff like that, you still got AEG money. So you got money to spend.
Well,
so it's like...
They do have their preferences of players, but they are willing to spend. I'll give them that. Yeah,
so, like, if it's done right... that definitely next season could be a much different, could be a much different team. So I definitely agree with that. But again, it's a matter of building around Riqui, getting the right pieces, and try to construct a winning team.
Definitely.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that's really much it. I don't think I have any more stuff to talk about.
I have one more point to make.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think we really need to start questioning the medical staff right now of the LA Galaxy. Like, this is the 3rd season-ending injury now. We've had all these guys out. Like, how many guys have we had out this year? I can't even name the amount of guys we've had out. It's been so many. From Boyd to... I mean, I can't even name them. Seriously, we've had so many guys out this year with so many different reasons for so many different time lengths. But the fact that all these injuries are happening with the Galaxy, it's like... It's too many injuries, dude. Like, I get it. Like, throughout the season, teams are going to face injuries. It's going to happen. But the fact that it's happening to us at this length when we did not play in CCL or we do not play on a turf field, you really got to start asking questions about the overall training this team is getting and the overall treatment this team is getting after games, after practice. Because if all these injuries keep happening, it's like, I mean, sure, you can say it's just a coincidence, but I don't know. It's just becoming too much now.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Galaxy training staff, and again, no offense to the training staff, because obviously they're trained professionals. They've studied for this, and I don't want to shit on them. In fact, it was a career that I wanted to do, and I didn't finish. So at the end of the day, I'm not the guy to be. I'm not the voice of reasoning here. Yeah, but still, though, like you would still have to consider the fact that our training staff hasn't been that great. Like too many injuries and. And you're right. Some of them are season injuries. Some of them have been, for lengths of time, but too many injuries is too many injuries. So it's like, some things must be up, something has to happen. And you're right. We haven't played that many tournaments. We don't really play on turf as much. And, it's like, yeah, like, how are you guys getting injured? How are these injuries happening? So, you sort of have to question about it. So, yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Yeah, so here's my problem. Like, if an injury is happening to a guy like Chicharito or Douglas Costa, okay, I get it. Because these guys have a history of missing games. Like, Chicharito, 3 out of 4 seasons, missed months with an injury with this club. Costa, like, maybe in the prime of his career is more available, but, like, lately, like, went in Brazil and stuff, and even here, like, he's missed a lot of games for a lot of different reasons. But the part where I start to get concerned is when you see guys like Brugman, Cáceres, Delgado, Mavinga, Zavaleta go down. Tyler Boyd, I think, got injured at one point. Like, when you see these guys starting to go down, it's like, it's very concerning because these are not injury-prone guys, and, like, these guys are starting to go down. And now I got to start questioning, like, okay, like, sure, our injury-prone players are getting injured, but now our non-injury-prone guys are getting injured. That's when a point of concern starts to raise.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm not the voice of reasoning. I'm not going to question those guys' their work because they've studied so long to do that stuff, but still though, it's something that it's still a bit of a concern knowing that we got so many injuries this season. And you're right, it's coming from our least injury prone guys. So it's like, I don't know, but again, injuries happen. You never know what's the reasoning, but still though, it is still a bit of a concern. Yeah. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for the show. Yeah, we kind of went lengthy on this one. We went almost an hour on this.
There's a lot to talk about, to be fair.
There was a lot to talk about. I mean, 2 games, a bunch of the stuff that happened. It was funny because because like I said, I went camping for this weekend. So like literally, like I had no signal for a couple days, and as soon as I come back into civilization, I go on my phone and I just see a bunch of stuff. It's like the meme from the Donald Glover meme where I think it's from the show Community, where he walks into the apartment and the apartment's like on fire.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah,
yeah. So that's literally how I felt when I came back into civilization, because I was just like, all right, then let's get into Galaxy, internet, and it's like, oh, geez, like what the hell has just happened? Like. It's like I don't know, like it was a mess before I left, then it became a bigger mess when I came back. So I don't know, it was really interesting weekend. Had a great time at camping though, so
that's great.
So that was good. But anyways, yeah, that's gonna be it for the show. Can't thank you guys enough for watching and listening. If you guys want to follow us, follow me at Insider Galaxy on Instagram, on X, now that's not called Twitter. Go follow LA Galaxy Central on Instagram, and yeah, just go follow us on social media, support us there as well. And then yeah, we can't thank you guys enough. Be a friend, tell a friend about the podcast whenever you're listening to this podcast. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day, rest of your week. And I have no idea what our plans are during this 3-week break, considering we're out of Leagues Cup, but we'll think of something. We'll if we make an episode out of nowhere, we'll post it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But
yeah, bro, one more thing to mention though is this is a tough pill to swallow for the players, the fans, the coaches. Sitting on this result for 3 weeks, that's a tough pill to swallow, no doubt about it.
It is a tough pill to swallow. But hey, you know what? They got time to, I guess, get things together. But I don't know what will happen. But yeah, I mean, 3 weeks. I mean, really. I don't even know what we're going to do. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys for listening. Anything you want to say to the listeners before we go?
No, hopefully by the time we're on our next episode, we have some new player signings, hopefully some impactful signings that we can talk about.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. We'll see what happens. But like I said, thank you guys for watching and listening. And G's up.
7 words.